Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. For today's paint and sip video, I decided that I was going to tell stories about times that my siblings have put my life in danger or tried to kill me. So yeah, if you're interested to hear a little bit about that, keep watching. But before we get into all of that, the nail polish that I'm going to be painting my nails with today is the Sally Hansen Extreme Wear nail color, and this is in the shade 329 Sunkissed, just in case anybody was wondering. And then for top coat, I'm just using Seche Vite as always. A couple of disclaimers that I want to just get out of the way. In no way am I bashing my siblings. I have a great relationship with all of them. I just think it's funny that the people that you care a lot about can also be the people that have put your life in danger. I just think, I don't know, it's just kind of funny to me. Also, these stories are increasing in severity, not of danger, I guess, but just kind of interest. I just wanted to also kind of give not disclaimers, but just kind of some background information about the makeup of my family, so that, I don't know, these stories are just more contextualized, they make more sense. You know what's going on, obviously I know what's going on. It's just better this way. So my parents have 5 kids. Their 3 oldest children are their biological children, and they're 2 years apart in age. Then there's a 9-year gap, and then me and my sister Grace, and we're both adopted. My parents lived overseas for a lot of their adult lives, and part of that time they spent in South Africa. They spent 8 years in South Africa, and during that time they adopted my sister and I, and yeah, that's just my family makeup. All of my siblings are older than me, I'm the youngest, but me and my sister, who are both adopted, we're just 2 months and a day apart. Grace and I, one, because we're the 2 adopted kids in the family, and also because we're the youngest, and also because we're just really close in age, we have always been super duper close. Not to say that I'm not close to my other siblings, because we both are, but Grace is she's my partner in crime. But just as much as she is my partner in crime, she is also my biggest enemy of progress. Grace and I literally fight all the time. Either there's an argument happening, we just got done with an argument, or an argument is about to start. That's just how we are. We love each other to bits and pieces, but ooh, that child gets on my nerves. This story is the time that not only was she on my nerves, but she almost killed me. I should probably start painting my nails, because that's something that I do here. Also, my tea is steeping in the back, but we'll get to her later. This story takes place in the summer of 2018. A riveting summer. It's actually probably one of my most boring summers, but that's not the point of this story right now. I don't remember why, but I needed somebody to pick me up from work. That summer I was working at an Amazon warehouse, which was the most alienating job I've ever worked. Absolutely terrible. One day I needed somebody to come pick me up from work, and my sister Grace was also interning at the St. Louis Zoo at that time, and in order for her to get to the zoo, we took the same interstate, but she would obviously, take her exit up miles down the road from where I had to take my exit. So for a decent portion of the drive from our house to both of our places of work, we were on the same road. Another thing that's worth disclaiming is that Grace is a terrible driver. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what my mom says about, oh, she's better now. I don't care about what my grandma says about, oh, well, it's not as bad as it used to be. She's a bad driver. Sure, it's not as bad as it used to be, but that doesn't mean that you're a good driver. But I already knew that there's no way that she's gonna let me drive home, so I'll just let her have this one. She knows where we're going, hopefully. She drives this, road literally every time she goes to work, so this shouldn't be a problem, right? Off the jump, we start arguing about the way home, because Grace, being the person that she is claiming to know that she knows how to get home, but she keeps missing exits. It was the last exit that we could take before it was great, now we're really in the middle of a cornfield, you know what I mean? So I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I know this exit is coming up. I'm hoping that she's paying attention, because we've literally already been fighting about how she doesn't know where she's going. But I have a tendency to backseat drive whenever Grace is driving, so I was trying not to do that, because I was trying not to just further the fight. The last exit before we have to reroute and figure out how we're gonna get home. Because I don't know how to get home. I don't know if Google Maps knows how to get home, but we would literally be in the middle of nowhere. And this bitch misses the exit. I was just like, Grace, you're missing the exit. Like, you're passing it by, blah, 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 blah. This is the part of the story where she actually starts to endanger my life. As she's missing this exit, I'm huffing and puffing now because I'm gonna have to pull out my phone and look up maps to figure out how to get home. That's what I'm doing as I feel the car go in reverse. We were on an interstate going 70, 75 miles an hour. My sister misses her exit, and on said interstate, she begins to reverse and attempt to take the exit that she has just missed. Now, I don't know when in driving school they tell you not to change gears while you're on the interstate. Apparently, Grace missed that day. When I tell you, I blew a gasket. I started screaming, Grace, what are you doing? Why are you in reverse? I started freaking out, and she just looked at me so puzzled. And then was like, oh, like, okay, I'm trying. You're screaming. Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? I'm screaming because I'm gonna die. That's why I'm screaming.
She was also mad at me that I started yelling in fear for my life. And she said that me yelling made her a worse driver. And that was the day that I almost killed her.
I've never been so filled with rage in my entire life. And a large part of the reason why I'm telling this story to the internet is because my parents did not react the way that they should have. I was so mad. To quote Love Island, I was fuming. And I really just thought, like, well, you know what? I'm mad now. My life is in danger. But my parents will have something to say about this. She will not get away with this. She'll have her driving privilege taken away. Maybe I can just use the car to myself, because at that point we were kind of sharing a car. I can have it to myself. Like, ooh, this is about to be summer 2K18, about to be my summer. Bitch, I'm about to get my own car because this bitch is about to get her license taken away by my parents because she tried to reverse on the interstate. No, that didn't happen. If anything, my dad kind of laughed about it, and I don't really think that, like, my mom had much to say about it. Actually, no, I think my mom was just like, oh, well, she's a bad driver. And to go back, like, she ended up putting the car in drive and driving forward before, thank God, any cars were around. So we didn't get hit. Obviously, I'm sitting here today unscathed. But that doesn't mean that I'm not angry that it happened and just confused as to why she thought that was a good idea. So yeah, that was the first time that one of my siblings has put my life in danger. So the next story I have to tell is a story about how one of my brothers endangered my life. This story takes place at an earlier time in my life. I was about 5 or 6 years old. During this time, like I mentioned before, my parents lived in South Africa. Not just my parents, but like all of us, like we lived with them. And when we lived in South Africa, we lived in the city of Pretoria. And at the time that we were living in Pretoria, it was the most dangerous city in the world. During this time, I decided that I was gonna be a ballerina. So the loving parents that I have enrolled me in ballet lessons. And I took ballet lessons at a performing arts school that was about a block, 2 blocks away from my house. And I remember this particular day, my parents had dropped me off. I think my mom had dropped me off. I don't remember who it was. Somebody had dropped me off because they had a meeting to go to or something like that. And my oldest sister, I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. My oldest sister, Bethany, was also taking vocal lessons at the same performing arts school on the same day. But the problem was, she was supposed to start class at the time that I was leaving class. So she couldn't walk me to the school and then walk me back home and then walk back and be on time for her lessons. So it went from Bethany, who was the oldest at the time, she was the oldest in the house, it went to Joel, who was the second oldest. Joel is 9 years older than me. At this point in time, Joel was 14, 15 years old, so, you know, capable of picking up his sister from ballet lessons and bringing her back home safely. And I remember after this particular ballet class, nobody was waiting for me when I got out. So I sat there and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and the sun began to set, and I just got impatient. I wasn't even aware of the danger of the city that I was in because I was 5 years old. Duh. I was just like, you know what? Nobody's here and I want to go home, and I'm not going to wait on somebody to come pick me up because I don't know when they're going to come and I'm tired of waiting. So my 5-year-old self began to just walk home in the most dangerous city in the world in my pink leotard and my tutu with my ballet flats in hand, because I was not about to walk outside in my ballet flats. Honey, no, she brought a change of shoes, okay? I was serious about my craft. 5 years old, could have been kidnapped, could have been abducted, could have been taken for ransom. Who knows? I mean, when you live in a city that dangerous, anything can happen. So we walk into the living. Joel was sitting in a chair. Grace was sitting in a chair. SpongeBob was playing on the TV. When I walked into that living room and saw SpongeBob playing on the TV, in my mind, even at 5 years old, I was just like, oh, so SpongeBob is more important than making sure I'm alive. That's great. At least I know where I stand with you people. So yeah, no, that was the story of the time. He didn't really like try to kill me, but like for real, something bad could have happened. I could not be filming here, painting my nails, barely drinking tea, and talking about my monotonous life. But yeah, here we are. Thank you, Joel, for that. Thank you. This last story, I actually have to preface, make a disclaimer. This did happen. It's such a weird story. If you don't believe, you don't believe, but this really did happen. This is the story about how my sister Bethany almost killed not only me, but my entire family. One thing that we did while we lived in South Africa was we would go on safari and like look at animals. When you go on safari in South Africa, what you're actually doing is you're going to a game reserve, which is basically just where they have like acres and acres and acres of land. I don't even know how they keep it, like, I think it's fenced in, but like, either way, the property is marked and they just have, it's not that they have, it's just like this is where animals in South Africa are roaming freely, and it's just kind of like fenced off and then protected by like the game reserve. So if something goes wrong with animals or anything like that, like that's also where a lot of like animal conservation happens, is like in game reserves and stuff like that. This was one of the last times that we were going to be able to go on safari and like look at animals and stuff like that before we moved to the States. So I remember we were at Kruger National Park. That's where we were when we almost died. And we had decided that we were going to go for a morning drive, because morning and night is when you can see a lot of animals, because they're migrating out of, I don't even know, please don't like clock me, I don't know a lot about animals, but they're moving from like their places of sleep to being awake, or at night, obviously vice versa, going to their places of rest. So we got into the park. It was really, really early, like 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun barely even out. We come across this herd of elephants that's moving. And usually what we would do is we would just like stop and park the car and just like take pictures, taking in the scenery. And my sister Bethany was taking pictures. And because it was early in the morning, she was taking pictures with flash photography. And it got to the point where as the like elephants were moving, there was this elephant like right in front of our car. And I mean like literally right in front of our car. And Bethany got really excited. We were all really excited, but Bethany got really excited because she had her camera. She was gonna take pictures. Like, it was one of those moments where it's just like, if you didn't have the camera in your hand and you weren't ready, you weren't gonna get it. So anyway, she was starting to take like flash photography. I don't know how, but I guess the flash photography either scared or irritated the elephant, and the elephant started to like raise its trunk. And as this is happening, like everybody in the car starts to get nervous. It started off with this like, oh my god, what a moment, to oh my god, we're going to die, because we thought that the elephant was about to take its trunk and then just flatten our vehicle out of fear, out of, I don't know. We didn't know, we thought we were gonna die. While his trunk was just in the air, we're sitting there thinking that we're going to die. And I guess Bethany didn't get the shot that she wanted, so she keeps taking the flash photography that is irritating this elephant. And I've never heard my dad yell at Bethany, but he yelled at her. He told her to stop. We all told her to stop. We thought we were going to die. Just at that time, other people in the park had just started to like drive in, and obviously herd of animals, so they're gonna stop and take pictures. We didn't know what to do. We were afraid that like we had just completely pissed off this elephant. I remember Grace, me, you know, my partner in crime, me and Grace, we were in the very back seat of the car holding each other, screaming and crying because we literally thought, our 5-year-old selves thought that we were gonna die. We thought we were going to die. Basically, we don't even know how we got out of that situation. As I said, like, there was a herd of animals and people had started coming in. We were in a white SUV and there was a truck from like the game park that was like, I don't know, doing rounds, going to make sure that everything was okay, that people weren't, you know, acting a fool, I guess. And it was like a bigger white vehicle, and that van parked right next to our white SUV. And then we slowly saw that the elephant kind of like back up and like lower its trunk and just kind of like calm down, and then eventually just walked away. What we think happened is we think that in the mind of like an animal, I guess, this is a long stretch. I'm not saying that this is what, you know, the psychology of the elephant that was happening, but like we think that the elephant was intimidated and thought that the bigger white van was like our mother coming to protect us. And that's basically how we got out of it. But yeah, she literally put our lives in danger because she needed to get a picture of this elephant. I haven't seen a photo of the said elephant. It's not like she parades it around. It's not like it's framed in her house now. I haven't seen any of those photos from said elephant, so I'm confused. We all almost died. Was it worth it? I don't know, Bethany, was it worth it? And I'm making this video just because, like I said at the beginning, I just think it's so funny that like some of the people that you care about most, that care about you the most, are also the people that have put your life in danger the most. Again, I don't dislike any of my siblings. I don't dislike Joel for neglecting me, or Grace for endangering my life, or Bethany for almost killing us. No hard feelings. I genuinely think that these are like funny stories, and I felt like, I don't know, they're random. I'm on quarantine. I'm bored. Like literally, why am I even painting my nails? To go where? To my kitchen? To my pantry? Because that's pretty much where I've been going lately. This paint and sip is, again, a little bit more of a paint and chat than a paint and sip, but maybe one day I'll get it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay inside, stay quarantined, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.